Just a quick reminder before I start today's episode. Time is running out to order your 2022 Disney Coast to Coast desk and wall calendars. If you haven't done so yet, hit pause, head to DisneyCoastToCoast.com, and then come back to hear this new free episode of Disney Coast to Coast.
Is your magic meter running low? Well, we've got a cure for you. Welcome to Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePauli, and today on the show I have Mike Celestino from LaughingPlace.com joining me to discuss a brand new holiday party at the Disneyland Resort, Disney Merriest Nites. This is the first year that Disneyland has had a hard ticket Christmas party, and with it they've brought some pretty unique entertainment. 6 of the park's lands decked the halls with themed parties pertaining to the land, including Mickey's Christmas Carol on Main Street, USA, along with a special performance by the Muppets. Hear about that and so much more right after this. Subscribe to Attractions Magazine and have the magic of Disney, Universal, and more theme park fun delivered directly to your door. Each issue features 64 pages of exclusive in-depth articles, colorful photos, updates, and more. It's your backstage pass to the theme parks, so why not get a holiday gift for a loved one that will last for all of next year? Visit attractionsmagazine.com to read about their different subscription levels. That's attractionsmagazine.com.
What makes Disney magic more magical? The holidays.
Hello, Mike, and welcome back to Disney Coast to Coast. So happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be back. Thank you so much for inviting me. I was happy to run into you at Disney Merriest Nites, and I'm glad to talk about it with you.
Yeah, it was a fun night. We were both there for work, we should say. You were there for Laughing Place. I was there for Attractions Magazine. And so, this was a free event for us, we should say right at the top. So just to put that out there, but we're just going to give our thoughts. One of the things I was just talking to Mike about is that this event was jam-packed full of content for a short 4-hour event. So we're going to be talking today about, the stuff that we got to experience. This is certainly not everything, but it's the stuff that we checked out and that we got to see, right?
That's very true. I was very fortunate to have a coworker covering the event with me, so we kind of were able to divide and conquer in that way. And, we kind of coordinated whatever I wasn't able to get to, he did. Like, he camped out for the parade, I camped out for the Muppets thing, and we managed to get through doing it that way. I don't think there would have been a way to see everything if we only had one person.
Oh, I guarantee you there wasn't a way because I was trying. and even on that, like, did you guys even get to merchandise and stuff like that?
Yes, my coworker Alex did get a mobile queue number and get a text back to go to the Star Wars launch bay in Tomorrowland, and went over there and got to go in and buy a t-shirt and look at all the pins and tumblers that had the Merriest Nites logo on it. So yeah, we did cover that.
Okay, cool. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, as far as I know, this is the first time that Disneyland Park has had a hard ticket Christmas and holiday event, right? I know Walt Disney World, this is like status quo for the holidays, but I don't think it's ever happened at Disneyland. Do you know of any times?
That is my understanding as well. Obviously, we've had the Halloween party, similar to what Magic Kingdom does at Walt Disney World, but I believe, as you said, this is the first Christmas after hours ticketed event.
Excellent. And the tickets were not cheap. They ranged in price from, I believe, $165 to $175. That is for a 4-hour event that took place from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. I should mention you did get access 3 hours early, starting at 5 p.m. So the whole night is 7 hours, but the great majority of special event moments were just the 4 hours.
Is the 165 for children?
Oh, I don't know what I think those are adult prices. I don't know what children's prices were.
Okay. I'm just wondering what that $10 difference was between the.
Oh, opening night was $175.
Oh, just depending on the night. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Opening night was $175, and I think the rest were $165. So yeah, it depended on the night. They just had kind of the range depending on popularity. And one of the cool things that I don't think we were told, I don't remember anywhere being told, hey, you're going to get like a special gift as part of this, but we all did get those, tacky but cool light up Christmas necklaces that look like the Christmas light bulbs, and it had a lanyard on it with the Disney Merriest Nites logo and stuff. So that was kind of cool.
Yes. I also liked the magic key button that we got. I'm showing it to you, though you can't hear it. But you can go and pick that up at the Rivers of America if you happen to be a magic key holder. They were giving those out for free.
Yeah, I'm not a button guy at all. Like, I'm not a pins guy. I'm not a button guy. I used to have buttons, and I think at some point I tossed them or gave them away or something because I was just like, what am I going to do with this?
I hate to say it, but I'm kind of an everything guy. If somebody gives me something, I can't bring myself to throw it away. Even like pieces of paper, which is real like hoarder mentality. I had to go through a box and throw away a bunch of old like press releases. Like, I don't need to keep these. Why am I holding on to these?
Well, this is good to know because whenever I have stuff I'm trying to get rid of, I'm going to give it to you now.
Please don't.
Because I...
My wife will kill me, and you.
I always feel so bad throwing it away. So I'm like, I want to give it to somebody who will appreciate it. So, Mike, I'm going to start leaving stuff on your doorstep now. It's all good.
But if I appreciated it, it would be fine. But it just sits in a pile. That's what it's like. Scrooge McDuck's money bin, kind of, but with Disney branded junk and swag and merchandise.
That's hilarious. I love it. Well, let's start on Main Street, USA, a very good place to start. And this area was titled A Dickens Christmas, which immediately makes me happy. I've said many times on this show, A Christmas Carol is one of my favorite stories of all time. And they had some pretty nice tie-ins to Mickey's Christmas Carol, which I don't know about you, but I was obsessed with as a kid, still am today, wore the heck out of that VHS tape. And I'm a big fan.
I think you're going to ace my trivia question later on.
Oh, don't say that. I mean, I may not. Sometimes minutia gets past me. But
yeah, Scrooge McDuck is my favorite Disney cartoon character, so I also really like Mickey's Christmas Carol, and the fact that it was an early cartoon that featured, well, early compared to DuckTales or whatever. He had been popped up in the comic books for many years before that, but to see him in the animated form there was really cool.
Yeah, and we did get some pretty cool character meet and greets there. I don't think I've ever really seen these characters before, at least not at Disneyland, where we got Goofy dressed in his Jacob Marley outfit, as well as Scrooge McDuck dressed as Ebenezer Scrooge, and Mickey and Minnie in their Mickey's Christmas Carol wardrobe. And that was a pretty cool meet and greet. I will say, I didn't stop to meet and greet with any characters. I kind of wandered around and saw them because if your priority is meet and greets, that's your whole night. It has to be your whole night.
Yes. The last thing we did at the very end of the night, I think it was 11:55 with the park closing at midnight, was get in line to take a photo with Jacob Marley, Goofy, and Scrooge McDuck, Ebenezer Scrooge, because I just felt like I had to do it on the way out, and we just happened to be the very last guest that they let get in line for that meet and greet. So that was, the timing worked out so perfectly there, which it rarely does for me. So very happy about that. And then my tweet of those two characters just up close exploded on Twitter. It was our most viewed tweet of the last 6 months or something. Just happened to hit the timing right, I think, with the Japanese Disney fans, because so many of those of our followers live in Asia, and they all love the rare characters popping up at these events.
Awesome. So yeah, those were cool to see. I really, really liked those. As well as, for the whole Dickens area, we got some handbell carolers in Town Square. Now, I just happened to catch them walking by, and the cool thing is what song should they be singing? But "Oh, what a merry Christmas day" from the beginning of Mickey's Christmas Carol. Did you happen to catch them at all, the handbell carolers?
We did. Actually, they performed while we were waiting in line to meet Goofy and Scrooge. So we got to watch them from underneath the awning of the Main Street Town Square Opera House.
Nice. They were really good, and they were up on, the train station. Everything's still social distance. The characters are still far away from guests, and all of that's still happening as far as character meet and greets and performers and stuff. Not so much guests in the park, but as far as cast members are concerned, that's still all going on there. The big thing, actually, before we get to that, I do want to mention that night was my first time checking out the new holiday shop that replaced the photo shop on Main Street USA. And I love this. This is a great addition. I mean, I always love a good Christmas shop, year round. And I know that this is going to be kind of changed throughout the year based on the holiday, but I think there will probably, if I had to guess, be some sort of Christmas representation year round, because ornaments sell really well, right?
I had heard that this was a year-round Christmas shop.
Yes, but they did mention they will bring in Easter.
Okay. I hadn't heard that part of it then. Yeah.
So the current holiday or the closest holiday will be represented in there, but I think a great majority will remain Christmas, which is really cool. And with photos not being printed nearly as much anymore, it only made sense to do something with this space. And I think it was really nice, and it was very Dickensian and has a Victorian feel to it overall.
I thought it had a really nice feel, and I really liked all the decorations atop the highest shelves.
Yes.
I shot a nice long video just kind of slowly panning all across that stuff, kind of, like you said, Victorian era Christmas type decorations.
Yeah, and the little dolls and stuff, but not like creepy dolls, just like Dickens dolls. It all looked really good, I thought.
Agreed.
Dickens
I like
dolls,
the feel
I think
of
that
that
should be a thing.
Dickens dolls. It's the new Bratz. Remember Bratz?
Oh, yeah, I remember Bratz.
And now it's Dickens with a Z at the end.
There we go. I think we should run with that. So, yes, that was a nice little addition. But the big thing, honestly, the thing that made me interested in this entire event, and I know you're a big Muppets fan, Mike, so I was shocked to find out that night you were shocked that the Muppets were appearing at this event. This was the big news.
Here's the way I approach these events after 6+ years of covering Disney theme parks in the way that I do. I don't do a lot of research beforehand. I probably should, but the way I do it is I show up, I get one of these guide maps, and I go, okay, this looks good, this looks interesting, I probably need to get that. And I make my little priority list, and this time, opening up the guide map, the first thing I see is Muppets Christmas Caroling Coach, and my brain nearly exploded with joy and anticipation and immediate panic that I wasn't going to get a good spot.
We should say it was a little chaotic trying to see that first show. There was a lot of misinformation given by cast members and stuff. It was the first show. Nobody really knew how it was going to work. And then we learned quickly. I ended up going to the second show as well because I was very unhappy with the angle I got of the first show. Yeah. One thing that surprised me a little, especially considering how they end the show, the first show. They were like, hey, we'll be back with more sort of thing. They very much insinuated that each performance would be different. It is not. It's the second show is the same exact show as the first. So did you not get that feel as well? Or
if I had to guess, I would have said that they were all going to be the same. And like you, we stopped by, I think it was the final show on our way out. We kind of paused and watched part of it just to kind of confirm that it was the exact same performance. But I don't think I was surprised by that.
Okay, well, the Muppets Christmas Caroling Coach essentially takes over the 2-level car that drives down
Omnibus.
Main Street USA. The omnibus, thank you. Wow, you were offended by the fact that
it's something that I always forget and was reminded of that night. So now it's going to stick in my memory.
The omnibus. They take over the omnibus. On the bottom level, we have Kermit and Piggy. On the top, we have Pepe, Gonzo, Fozzie, and a couple of chickens. And this thing drives down Main Street USA. Now, we should say it starts over by that parade entrance near Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln and drives down Main Street. So if you're catching them in that direction, you want to be on the Magic Shop Main Street Cinema side, or else you're not going to see. Then they loop around the hub. So turning right, and then they pause right in front of the partner statue. So they're essentially they're facing down Main Street toward the Christmas tree. And that's the spot where you want to be to see like the full show. So when they exit, they loop back around the hub, go back down Main Street, and at that time, they face the Emporium side.
So if you're standing in front of the Opera House, in front of Mr. Lincoln, you would be able to see them as it makes its way back into the backstage area.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so everybody listening is like, this is too much information. We don't need this. But
no, honestly, I think this is good information because people are going to want to know this because you and I wanted to know it, and other people got burned because they were standing in the wrong place.
Yeah, I think the worst thing is if you're there to see them when they first come out. Like, if you're on the Emporium side, you're not seeing them. You're seeing their backs, like, if anything. So, but yeah, the big thing is they stop right in front of the partner statue and face the Christmas tree, and that's where, like, the majority of the show happens. Something cool that happens before that, though, is we get the voice of Disneyland over the speakers in the park. Bill, the voice of Disneyland, and he like has a little moment or scene with the Muppets, which is kind of cool.
It was cool. He has like a little bit of a back and forth with Miss Piggy that goes on for a bit and has some very humorous banter in it that I can't quite recall exactly what they talk about, but it was very funny.
Now, what did you think of this show?
I really enjoyed it. I was kind of beaming, actually, because, you and I were there. We were waiting for that first performance, and then there was a bit of a shuffle when they moved a bunch of people around after the omnibus had parked there, and we kind of had to scramble to get a decent spot in front of the Muppets. But once it started, once we were there and kind of settled in, I looked away from my screen, my phone that I was holding to record the show, and was able to appreciate the show for what it is. And I thought the performances, the actual like puppetry, I was really impressed by, because knowing that these are likely not the actual Muppet performers operating the puppets, although it is the voices of the official performers, whoever that they had underneath those puppets, sticking their arms up the puppets, were doing a great job. I thought very believable. I thought the characters were behaving the way that I would expect them to. Some of the video I've seen of the Liberty Square Muppet stuff from Magic Kingdom, it just kind of looks like they're flapping their mouths. They don't really quite bring the personality to it in the way that you're used to seeing in some of the Muppet stuff. So I really appreciated that about it.
Yeah, I will say like my favorite performance was Kermit the Frog. Him dancing during Feliz Navidad was I was laughing so hard.
Absolutely. And I thought the writing of the jokes between the songs was really funny. There's a really great like bait and switch with Pepe regarding him setting up the song Feliz Navidad.
Yes.
That really, like, honestly made me laugh out loud, which so rarely happens for me because I'm a very jaded comedy fan. But I think they really nailed the Muppet sense of humor, in addition to the warm feeling of hearing them singing Christmas carols.
They did, but I do have one major complaint.
Okay.
That is, if you're going to have the Muppets in a show that's called the Muppets Christmas Caroling Coach, in an area called A Dickens Christmas, I expect and want some music from Muppets Christmas Carol.
That would have been nice.
I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer, right? Like, the fact that there was no Muppet Christmas Carol, no, it feels like Christmas or anything like that, was kind of shocking to me. I was kind of forewarned that was going to be the case. So I wasn't, like, shocked in the moment. I'm still shocked that didn't happen.
I want to tell you, I was in Disneyland Paris for the first time ever a couple years ago for the Christmas season, and a song came over the loop on Main Street USA as an instrumental version, and I was like, I know this song. I recognize this song. What is this? And I couldn't quite place it, and I recorded a bit of it and sent it to my coworkers at Laughing Place, and I think our mutual friend Kyle Burbank said, that is the song from Muppet Christmas Carol, the one that you just mentioned. What is it called?
It Feels Like Christmas.
It Feels Like Christmas, yeah. Which is it's in the loop that plays on Main Street during the holiday season over there, which it would be great to hear stuff like that.
Yeah, it's gotten some representation in Magic Kingdom as well as part of their past castle shows at Christmas time and stuff. So it's not unheard of to hear it in the parks, but I don't know, like a Muppet Christmas caroling show in a Dickens area. I don't know.
I want to say that the logo of this show is actually same font as the Muppet Christmas Carol movie.
Yes. So I don't know. Something happened there. I don't know. I loved it regardless, but that would have been like the ace, as if we got some Muppet Christmas Carol representation. But yeah, let's head to Tomorrowland, where they had galactic greetings. I admittedly did not spend a ton of time here. As you mentioned, they had the merchandise in the Star Wars launch bay, but it was a process. It was having to get kind of a virtual queue sort of reservation. I'm not a merch guy in general, and frankly, I just didn't have the time. Even if I wanted to, it was like, I don't have time to do this, so I didn't do it, and I didn't see any of the specialty merch at all, which I'm fine with.
The other neat thing about Tomorrowland, well, really the big thing about Tomorrowland was that there was a DJ on the balcony, second level of the former Innoventions building, which was the former Carousel of Progress. You know the building that I'm talking about.
The Star Wars launch bay.
The Star Wars launch bay. Her name was DJ Kara Ford, and she was pumping the tunes up there, and they had some really neat lighting effects, and they're all, Christmas colors, red and green and stuff, and little outlines of Christmas trees, and there were spotlights going all over the place, and then Buzz Lightyear was up there boogieing down with a Santa Claus hat on. I like the atmosphere of that.
Yeah, it was, I will say, like when they advertised this special ticketed event, they called each of these things parties, I think. They said each land is going to have its own party. I think Tomorrowland, in my opinion, is the only one that actually felt like a party.
Right.
So
a dance party.
Yeah, it was totally a dance party. Buzz was pretty far away, but he was definitely rocking it up there. And it was a fun atmosphere. It's kind of, it's kind of become the vibe of Tomorrowland. With the Tomorrowland Terrace, there's always some sort of band there, usually, rocking the night away. And it felt like Tomorrowland. It was pretty minimal. It was lights, a DJ, and Buzz, and that was about it.
And there was a little photo op in the Tomorrowland Terrace area, or Galaxy Grill, or whatever they're calling it now.
Yeah, no disrespect to the artists, because I believe there were some Wonderground artists who did the backdrops for these things. I don't know who waits in a line to take a photo with these painted backdrops. Sincerely, no disrespect. They were all fine. But none of them were like, I need a picture with this, and I will wait in a 20-minute line at a 4-hour party to get that picture. Like, there's a disconnect for me.
Me too. And I'll tell you, when I started covering this type of event back at a different website I used to work for, I was very confused by the entire concept of these after hours, what was called Disneyland After Dark during that period, which occasionally they still do it, right? I guess prior to the
pre-COVID
pandemic.
Yeah,
exactly. There was one scheduled that got canceled, the Star Wars one, and there was a villain one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I just didn't quite get it. Like, people are paying. People who already have annual passes even are paying to go into the park after hours and then stand in line and wait to get their picture taken. I guess there's some unique characters, some rare characters, and these backdrops. Like you're saying, I also felt that disconnect. But I will say, despite that, I found that some of the character photo ops that we're going to talk about in a little bit were more appealing to me than the ones I've seen at previous events like this. And we'll get into that as we go to different lands. But the one in Tomorrowland did not jump out at me as being anything terribly special.
I think as far as like the rare characters, I will say that the Mickey's Christmas Carol characters at this event, I thought were very, very, very cool.
Oh,
if I was going to wait, those would be them. And then at 90s Night, when they had Max dressed as Powerline, that was another one that I was like, whoa, cool. But if I'm remembering correctly, that line was like 2 hours long.
Well, they were back out on Disney Plus Day, so
there you go.
Another bonus for going last Friday.
But yeah, it was just I don't get that. I don't know. I guess bless you if that does it for you. But it doesn't for me at all. And we should mention you do get free photo pass with the ticket, which is nice. They scan your ticket, you can download the photos for free. So that's a nice bonus. But yeah, just like, I mean, and they were all flat backdrops. I don't know. So as you said, they had that in Tomorrowland as well as throughout the park. This is the one land, though, I will say I did not buy very much specialty food. This is the one place I did. I got the pot roast loaded fries in Tomorrowland. And these just sounded good. And they actually were pretty good. They were very weird French fries. They were French fries like I've never seen before. They're like kind of curled, but not curly fries. They were like flat with a twist. And then like pot roast on top. And the thing that got me was I think it had like pickled onions on it or something, which I love. Pickled onions are just delicious. So they were okay. It was kind of unique. The other thing that interested me, but I never like a turkey burger. Every time I give a turkey burger a chance, I'm always disappointed. But the Thanksgiving leftover burger sounded good. I know the title grosses you out, doesn't it?
Well, what makes it a burger? Just the bun?
No, it's a turkey burger.
Okay. So it's not sliced turkey.
No. It's a turkey burger, I believe. I didn't get this, so I'm remembering the pictures. It was like a turkey burger, and it had, like the stuffing and all the Thanksgiving leftovers on it. So I was like, that sounds good. But I went with the pot roast loaded fries, and I enjoyed them. Nothing spectacular, but that's the only specialty food I got that night.
Well, as you know, I have some crazy food allergies, so I can't eat very much in the park. But my wife did get the coffee nog from Fantasyland Red Rose Tavern, as well as the Enchanted Forest fries, which she seemed to like both of those.
What's on the Enchanted Forest fries?
Let's see. It says buffalo seasoning and ranch.
Oh,
like an enchanted forest.
Very Christmassy. That was not what I was expecting, but all right. It sounds like I would enjoy that. Although I would replace the ranch with blue cheese personally. But that's me. Anyway, you mentioned Fantasyland. Shall we head there?
Let's do it.
Okay, the name of this party was A Frozen Wish. This is definitely where you had the most character opportunities, because we had friends from Frozen, including, I believe these costumes were essentially from Frozen, a Musical Spectacular over at the Hyperion. We had Elsa, as well as whatever, the Wandering Oak in there.
Wandering Oak.
And then the Weaseltown guy.
Yeah, the Duke of Wesselton.
The Duke of Wesselton. They were there. So I don't think those characters had ever done meet and greets before, right? We're just used to seeing them on stage at the Hyperion.
Certainly not that I'm aware of, but the one that got, again, a ton of attention from the Laughing Place Twitter was Hans, the villain from Frozen.
Oh, I didn't see him.
I guess is a rare pop-up for him at this Christmas event. And he was just hanging out next or nearby because they did the distance thing. Anna and Olaf, and it was just Hans. So it seems odd that they would be associated with each other after everything that went down. But maybe this takes place before or during, or I don't know.
I always have that issue with meet and greets. Yeah. How many times do we see Peter Pan and Captain Hook hanging out? I'm like, no, This is not a thing. They don't... It just doesn't matter in the parks, apparently. So we got the friends from Frozen. We had Belle and Beast in their winter wardrobe over by the entrance through the castle of Fantasyland, which was nice. Donald's snow fight was over by the Fantasyland Theater. That was
This is the one I want to talk about. Can I pause you there?
Yes, please.
Donald's snow fight was my favorite of all the photo ops in the park that night. They built it was like the snow fort from the 1930s Donald cartoon short called, I believe, Donald's Snow Fight. And he was wearing that like Admiral hat, Donald was, from the cartoon. And my wife and I were like, yeah, well, we love Donald. We got to wait in line to get our photo taken there. And we noticed as we were waiting to meet Donald, nobody is pretending to have a snowball fight with him, which, this whole thing is set up like a snow fort. They're just standing there posing happily. So my wife is like, we're going to pretend to have a snowball fight with Donald. And I wondered, like, are they discouraging that? Maybe they don't want that to happen. But no, as soon as we got up there, we started pretending to throw snowballs, and Donald got into it. He was hiding behind the fort. He was throwing snowballs back at us. And those pictures came out wonderfully. They made me really, really happy. I thought that was a really well-designed and creative character photo op.
I bet after you left, everybody in line that saw that probably did the same thing. They were like, oh, yeah, cool. You started a trend, most likely.
I hope so. I hope it carried through.
Cool. We also had Pluto's Christmas tree. I didn't see this. Did you see this?
Yes, I did. It was near the Pixie Hollow, kind of nearby the hub. And it looked like almost like a fake TV screen or like a gift box with a hole cut out in it. And it just had like a tiny little living room set with a Christmas tree and maybe a recliner and the fireplace. And Pluto was there with the antlers, I think. The reindeer antlers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Was Fantasia's Frozen Fairy Wings over there as well? Because I assumed that's where that was.
That was across from the queue for the Matterhorn. It was by the Matterhorn Fast Pass distribution kiosk.
Here's what's so crazy. I probably looped the park 4 times that night, and I didn't hit everything. Like, there was so much going on and so much to see, and I didn't stop. I stopped for 10 minutes to eat those fries, and that's like it. Otherwise, I was moving,
right?
And, or waiting for the Muppets or the parade or whatever. But there was just so much going on. We also had Santa Claus over in the Fantasyland Fair area.
Yes.
So all of that happened. In this area, we had the brass band playing. So every area kind of had like a live performance aspect of it. I don't know. Did you catch the brass band at all?
That was one of the few entertainment options that we didn't. We had the option because they were both at the same time, the brass band and the island duo in Adventureland, and we opted for the latter.
Okay. For most of the performance stuff, other than Muppets and Parade, I kind of just like saw them as I went by. I wasn't seeking them out just because there was so much going on. One, unfortunate mishap that at the time of recording, this hopefully will have been fixed by the time this episode is released, but It's a Small World Holiday was supposed to open with this party for the season, and apparently they had a flooding issue inside of the attraction, and it damaged a lot of electrics, supposedly, and the attraction did not open. I remember when the night started, actually, I saw you and I said, they don't even have the exterior lit. Like, I thought it was at a point where it wasn't even safe to light the building exterior. Thankfully, that was fixed a little bit into the night, and we did get to see that, and folks can enjoy that because, frankly, even if you don't ride It's a Small World Holiday, I think that the exterior lighting, although intense, is like a really nice addition to the park. I think it's festive for the season.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I think of when I think of Disneyland during the holiday season is those lights on the Small World facade and the attraction itself going through It's a Small World Holiday, which I miss, and I'm looking forward to it, hopefully coming back before one of my upcoming reservation dates. But yeah, I totally agree that I was glad they were able to turn on the lights as the evening went on.
You know what else I think of when I think of that lighting now?
No, I don't.
I think of Mariah Carey singing All I Want for Christmas Is You. Which special was that? There was some TV holiday special a few years back where she did a live performance there. And I was like, you know what? This is kind of the perfect place for this insanity. I loved it. It was great. All right, let's head over to Frontierland, where it was Feliz Navidad, of course. We had Miguel from Coco, whom I love. I love this character. I love this costume. I love this movie. And sadly, he was like tucked away. Like, it was very hard. I saw him, but like not from a great angle or anything. His photo op was one of those ones where, like I said, I don't really wait in lines to take photos with the characters, but I always like to go see them and see other people enjoying them. This was one you couldn't really do it that well, sadly, but he was there in the area that they typically decorate for Dia de los Muertos in Frontierland.
Now, was there anything specifically Christmassy or holiday about Miguel's photo op? Because when I passed by there, I was just like, oh, it's just Miguel standing on the
I think you're right. They might have put like a piece of holly on his hat or something. But I think it was pretty much his Magic Happens parade costume.
Yeah.
I just love that character.
Sure.
So yeah. We also had the mariachis performing on the balcony of Golden Horseshoe. I did catch this. In fact, I caught them performing the song Remember Me from Coco, which I love. And that was pretty cool. But that was essentially Frontierland as far as the party is concerned, right?
Sure, unless you want to count the Mark Twain riverboat.
That was New Orleans Square because we had that was more of a jazz.
It starts in Frontierland, but we'll go.
I think they listed, as I look at the map, I'm pretty sure that they listed as New Orleans Square. I do want to mention though, just because at a lot of these special events, they do make the shooting arcade free play, which I love. They did not, sadly. I went and checked. It was not free play. I should have known when nobody was playing, but I was like, a lot of times they just don't say anything about it. They just do it. And I was like, I gotta go check. Sadly, no.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Let's head over to New Orleans Square, shall we, for the New Orleans Christmas, where Tiana's Tinsel and Tunes was aboard the Mark Twain riverboat. Did you get on there?
Yes, I did. Cool. I did the Tiana's Tinsel and Tunes. Now, do you think, was she supposed to be Tiana? Have you seen the video of this?
I have not, but I saw Tiana up in Walt's balcony, overlooking the rivers of America.
I was just confused by the name of this show because I don't think the lady singing was supposed to be Tiana. It was just kind of like a jazz trio.
I hope not, because I actually had this thought. When I saw the name of the show, Tiana's Tinsel and Tunes, I was like, wait a sec, but Tiana is out in New Orleans Square up in the balcony. So unless they just timed this perfectly, this isn't good. So the fact that you're saying it didn't seem like it was her, I think actually makes sense. It probably wasn't.
So it's just Tiana's in that she arranged it, I guess.
Yeah.
Or is raking in royalties from it.
That's hilarious. But how was that show? Is that cool? And did it play like the whole length of the cruise around, Tom Sawyer Island?
It did. It was very relaxing and very jazzy. It was kind of like the most sedate 15 minutes of the night for us, but I enjoyed it. I always enjoy going around the rivers of America at nighttime. I really like the atmosphere of that and the feel of that. So the added bonus of the music, which I've experienced a few times before at some of these after hours parties. I always get a kick out of that. So I enjoyed that.
We should mention that Mickey's Toontown, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and Critter Country were all closed during this event. So I'm curious, did you happen to notice if the rock work of Galaxy's Edge was lit up as you took the Mark Twain around there?
I don't believe it was, but I'd have to check my video to make sure. In my memory, I don't think it was lit.
All right, cool. Excellent. So there was that there. As I mentioned, Tiana was up in the balcony, so she was pretty far away for photos as well, and not particularly well lit. It was more of just kind of like go have a conversation with her, more so than, hey, this is a great photo opportunity with Tiana. Probably not the best photo opportunity. But this area is also where you said you picked up your magic key button, right?
Yeah, so it's near the loading area for the rafts to Tom Sawyer Island. They had a table set up over there and people were lining up and there was signage and stuff. You got the button that says Merriest Nites Magic Key Disneyland, and then they also gave away an item that looks like it's going to be an air freshener promoting Freeform's 25 Nights of Christmas. I think that's what it is. But when you open it up and you smell it, you're like, this isn't an air freshener. It's just a piece of cardboard. It doesn't smell like anything.
Is it supposed to be a Christmas tree ornament?
That could very well be my mistake. And it's just supposed to be a Christmas tree ornament. But in the past, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago, they were giving away, Freeform was giving away air fresheners similar to that for the holiday season at Disneyland Resort.
When you probably still have it, right?
Yeah, it's somewhere. It's definitely somewhere.
Oh, man.
Will it still smell? I don't think so.
You are a hoarder, aren't you?
Yeah.
Amazing. Of course, when you're talking New Orleans Square and a Christmas party, we cannot forget Haunted Mansion Holiday is there. It is, of course, open during the event. This is the thing I took advantage of for early entry. I was like, I really don't want to spend time during this short party doing rides that are normally open. So I did Haunted Mansion Holiday during the early entry thing, and it was actually my first time this season doing it. And that's
how bad was the wait for that?
It was an hour.
Okay.
It wasn't that bad. I did think to myself, I'm like, oh, this will be much shorter during the party. But even if it was a half hour during the party, like I didn't want to take party time to be doing that. So
yeah, that period, that overlap period between, what was it, 5 p.m. and
5 to
8 p.m.
Although the park closed at 7.
Okay, so 5 to 7. It just seemed like, I think I was hanging around mostly on Main Street at that point, and it just seemed like it was tough to move around. There were so many people coming and going from the park. It was very crowded.
Yeah, it did get crowded when we were first there, but it was funny. You'd hear, first of all, the cool thing was you kind of knew everybody at the party because we all had those light up necklaces.
Yeah.
And it was just so you could kind of look around and be like, okay, in an hour they'll be gone and they'll be gone. It was just like, okay, it'll be a much smaller group of us once this event actually starts happening.
Mhm.
So there was that. Shall we head to Adventureland?
You mentioned Jack and Sally were hanging out on the
Oh, that's right.
balcony.
They did photo ops. I didn't see them, to be honest, but where were they? Over by the mansion?
They were standing on the balcony of the mansion itself.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, which they've done. They've actually done that recently
Oh.
too. I think for this past Halloween season, they were up there as well. But yeah, they're on the actual balcony of the fake haunted mansion, the facade haunted mansion.
That's cool. I apparently don't pay enough attention to characters because I have never seen them up there. That's kind of a
Yep.
cool location, but once again, not a good place if you're trying to get a photo with a character. And I get it, we're still social distancing, but
Yeah.
I don't know. In some cases, in most of the cases, I would say they set it up in a way so that you could take a photo with the character. These are more, they might as well be cavalcades, right? They're just kind of waving from a distance sort of thing.
Yeah, pretty much, unless you want to get like a really low angle selfie with them in the background.
Yeah.
That's about all you're going to arrange for that.
Cool. And of course, all of these lands have specialty food. I'm not going through all of them because I didn't taste them all, but I don't know. Is there anything you want to point out that was there? I think they had, of course, the holiday beignets and stuff like that.
Let's see. Beignets, yeah. Red beans and rice stew, po' boy, 3-course prefix dining experience at the Cafe Orleans. That's about it.
I love New Orleans Square at Christmas just in general. I think the decorations there are fantastic. I think that they do a really nice job with that area. And of course, it's just an area that's unique to Disneyland. You don't get it anywhere else. So that's kind of cool.
I always love New Orleans Square. One of my favorite areas of the park.
So let's head over to Adventureland where we're celebrating Mele Kalikimaka. So of course, who are the stars for the party? Lilo and Stitch. This became a bit of a bottleneck area. Like they had, I think, 3 cast members out in front. So basically Lilo and Stitch were standing on the Tiki Room building, but like at the exit. And because of that, it's just a kind of narrow pathway. And they were just cast members. Don't stop, keep moving, don't stop, unless you were in line to meet the characters. Like you could not stop there and even wave or anything. And so it became... I'll be surprised if we see that spot being used again in the future for character stuff.
You're saying Adventureland at Disneyland was congested? Get out of the city.
More than normal, even. They probably, and I'm gonna contradict myself here, but they probably should have put them up where the steel drummers were, the island duo. I think they were steel drummers. They were up on that second level where Jungle Cruise queue goes, and they were great. I saw them as well. They were a really fun band, the island duo. But if they wanted Lilo and Stitch kind of out of the way, they probably should have put them there. And they swapped out, by the way. So you either got Lilo or Stitch. Right. And
That's kind of the funny thing about some of these meet and greets is that you could get in line when there's one character up there taking photos with people, and by the time you get to the front, they could have swapped out to somebody else. Like with the Christmas Carol characters in Town Square, it was either Scrooge and Goofy, or who were the other two they were swapping out with? Now I can't remember, but we had to time it so that we could get in line where it was the other two and wait and get up there, and then they would swap out for Scrooge and Goofy, which is the ones that we wanted.
So you want to hear something really, really sad. This goes back... Always. Yes, always, please. This goes back to 90s Night, where, Max, dressed as Powerline, was swapping out with Goofy. And people in line wanted a picture with Powerline Max. Yeah. And when Goofy was there, nobody would take a picture with him. So they were doing half-hour sets, and literally people were telling the cast members, no, we waited in this line for a picture with Powerline or Max Powerline. We're not taking a picture with Goofy and getting out of this line. And so they literally would just go down the line and say, okay, if you want a picture with Goofy, come to the front of the line. Goofy did most of his set just dancing alone because people were pissed. And like I said, it became a 2-hour line. It was a problem. It was a big problem. So if you're ever in that situation and you really do want a specific character, you have every right in the world. Listen, you paid the dollars to get through the door. You waited in that line. You have every right to say, no, I'm going to wait until the next characters come. Just know you might be waiting a half hour till the next set starts. So I've never
occurred to me that you would be allowed to wait until the next shift.
Why? I mean, why not, right? It's your time. It's your money. As long as you're cool with people cutting you to,
Right.
meet the character that's currently there, it shouldn't be an issue for anybody. It's like when you're going to ride and you're like, hey, I want the front vehicle, right? It's just, okay, step to the side. Of course, this is a bit more problematic, but that's the problem with these rare characters, right? Everybody's going to have a favorite and want something specific, and I feel like that's something that maybe needs to be worked on. They should probably be double cast, and I realize that requires more money put into it, but when people are paying $165 a pop, they should be able to get what they want. So
I agree.
In any case, there's that. So we had Lilo and Stitch in Adventureland. We had the Island Duo there as well. That was pretty much that. Some of the lands were kind of lackluster, had minimal Christmas sort of stuff, I would say. And then others kind of did it up really well. Main Street did it well. Fantasyland had a lot of stuff. Those were the two big ones, I would say. New Orleans Square was pretty good. I guess it had the Mark Twain. That's some nice additional entertainment.
Yeah, I would agree that Tomorrowland and Fantasyland were the two that made the biggest impression on me.
Tomorrowland? Wow. No, I said Main Street.
Main Street, yeah. I did like the DJ and the lights especially in Star Wars Launch Bay and stuff. So yeah, that too.
Excellent. Let's talk about a returning quote-unquote favorite, a Christmas fantasy parade. Now, I will say for many years, I have said we need a new Christmas parade because we do at Disneyland. It's been a long time. But having said that, I was overjoyed to have this parade back, to have any parade back. I'm pretty sure this is the first parade to march down Main Street, USA in Disneyland since pre-pandemic, which I don't think enough people are making a big enough deal about. Like, the Halloween parade over in DCA was the beginning of it returning to Disneyland Resort, but there's something about a parade marching down Main Street, USA that is just iconic Disney, and it's back, and that's fantastic. And the great news is it's not just for this party, it's during daytime hours as well.
You and I were there for the premiere of
Magic
Happens parade about 3 weeks before the park closed. And it only ran for those 3 weeks, and it has not come back. I don't know if it'll ever come back, but...
Oh, it better. Yeah. I mean, of course it will. It has to. Okay. They would not invest that money enough. And Magic Happens is a fantastic parade. Fantastic. I wish they would have at least used some of those floats as cavalcades. I would have killed for a Sword in the Stone cavalcade during park hours, but in any case, yes. It's a great parade.
I did not see a Christmas fantasy parade during Merriest Nites. Like I said, I kind of divided coverage duties with my coworker who camped out on Main Street for a good spot. But I have seen that parade a bunch in the past. I always enjoy it. My wife really likes the little snowmen who bump into each other and spin around. And it's cool to see Santa bring up the rear as well and follow him down the parade route sometimes. But yeah, this is a fun parade.
As much as I say, oh gosh, this parade, it's so old, it needs to be retired, and we need a new Christmas parade, I will say every year I watch it, there are moments where I'm like, oh, I love the toy soldiers playing their bugles, and then I'll be like, oh, I love the snowmen, oh, look at the gingerbread cookies. So as much crap as I give it, there are definitely iconic things about it that I love, but I would love an update in 2022. Just putting that out there. I would love a new parade. I think that would be great. I don't know how long it's been running, but I feel like it's been decades at this point.
I believe it.
Yeah. But regardless, there's a parade back in Disneyland, and we have a Christmas parade this year, which is much better than what we had last year. So that is fantastic. And that kind of wraps things up as far as what was at the party, as far as what we got to experience. So the big question I want to know is, do you feel like this was enough time for a party? Because you don't want people to feel like there's not enough to do, so you jam pack it with stuff. and you feel like, hey, we're giving them plenty of stuff to do that's different that they wouldn't normally get during normal park hours. But on the other hand, is it equally as bad to have too much to do, making the guest feel like they didn't get their value's worth? Because that's kind of where I'm living right now. I'm like, ooh, if somebody paid a lot of money to do this, and you're like, but I didn't get to do this, and I didn't get to that, and I didn't get to do that, is that okay?
I was surprised that night when I saw that the party was ending at midnight, because was remembering back to the Disneyland After Dark events, which I think mostly ended at 1 a.m., if I recall correctly. So I think if guests had gotten that extra hour, there probably would have been a higher level of satisfaction all around, especially that was a Thursday night, so it's not really a weekend, but it's later in the week. People are getting ready for the weekend. Maybe they're more willing to stay out late. And yeah, I think just giving people more time to go around and check out all this cool stuff. Because I did think there was a lot of cool stuff. I thought the photo ops and the entertainment and the characters were all really creative. A lot of it was up my alley as a Duck fan. It was cool to see both Scrooge and Donald in unique photo ops. But yeah, I think to your point, more time would have been good. Give people the full 8 hours instead of the 7, starting at whenever they could be let into the park. 5 o'clock till 1, I think, would make more sense.
Yeah, it flew by. And I guess, this always happens for me because I'm a live entertainment guy. You always got to kind of scope out your spot and wait for, I don't know, at least 30 minutes or so. So
right.
That's, when you add that, the parade plus the Muppets, that's an hour out of a 4-hour event is now gone. Now that's my choice, of course, to do that. But same things if your thing is photos or even merchandise, like everything requires you to wait. Unless you just want to ride rides with short lines. I guess that's what really benefits the most, to be honest. But I don't know. If you paid $165 for this event, would you have felt it was worth it?
I don't think it's the kind of thing that I would go to be honest, if it weren't part of my job. When it comes to theme parks and my own personal interests, I'm more into the attractions and the landscaping and the themed design and stuff like that. As far as like character meet and greets and shows and things like that, those aren't quite where my interests lie. But I was talking about this earlier with another friend who was saying that he thought if you weren't a Magic Key holder or annual pass holder or whatever, it might be a good opportunity, like you say, to pay a little bit more for a single night ticket. And you kind of have the run of the park. If you don't care about any of that stuff, just hit all the attractions. You don't have access to Galaxy's Edge. You don't have access to Critter Country or Toontown, but everything else is not going to be much of a wait. In general, people are focusing on the unique stuff for that night and not waiting to ride Pirates of the Caribbean or Space Mountain or anything like that.
Yeah, I kind of honestly took that mentality when I stopped getting an annual pass several years back for numerous reasons. But one of them was, as a pass holder who paid a lot of money for a pass, I would never invest in the special events. And I was interested in 80s Night, 90s Night, and several of them. And so I made a decision one year, was like, you know what, I'm not going to get an AP, and I'm going to take that money and put it toward the special events I want to do instead. And I think that has to be the strategy. I think if you have an annual pass of any sort or a Magic Key, I think that it's kind of a waste of money, to be completely honest. Like, I get there are things that you can only experience there, but unless it's like, listen, if there were a Wayne Zielinski meet and greet at any special event, I would pay whatever they asked to go do just that. And I think if you're a Muppet fan, like a really big Muppet fan, it might be worth it to do this. This is the second time I can recall the Muppets ever performing at Disneyland. We talked about this a little bit before, and you don't recall it, but they did have a pre-parade float. It was at least Kermit and Piggy. I don't know if there were any others, but it was during that year where they were encouraging people to volunteer, and then they would give them a ticket to Disneyland, way back when they gave free tickets to Disneyland. And they did like a pre-parade float with the Muppets and like construction hats and stuff. So this is only the second time I can recall, the Muppets performing in the parks. So it's pretty unique to Disneyland.
to go back to what we were saying before, the Muppets, as they were in that performance, felt very authentic to me. They didn't feel like, oh, this is a knockoff Muppets.
Oh, no, it was great.
performance.
It was fantastic. I loved it so much. Before we get going here, Mike, I want to hop over to Walt Disney World's hard ticket holiday party for a moment to talk about the new Cinderella Castle stage show, Mickey and Minnie's Very Merry Memories, which is part of Disney Very Merriest After Hours event. Did you check out the video of this?
I did. Yeah, it's about 15 minutes and change.
Yeah, I've never gone to this party. Have you?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
It's not to my memory.
Yeah. Now, this was brand new this year, this show, but I thought it was handled very smartly because, listen, we're still in that period of lots of budget cuts in the parks. And instead of just putting on an old show, they put on a new show, but it's a combination of all old performances. And it was essentially a quote unquote winter walk down memory lane. And I thought that was smart.
This show kind of reminded me a little bit, and tell me if you agree or not. It kind of reminded me of the type of a Christmas show you would see at Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense to you.
It does. It was a musical review, and not to put down Knott's at all. I love Knott's, and I love what they do.
No, me too. I don't mean that as a negative.
This did not feel like a Cinderella Castle stage show to me.
Yes.
It was, I don't know, it was just a musical review. We start with that song, We Need a Little Christmas. It's kind of this, mostly the dancers at that point. And then some of the, the mainstay characters come out. We have Minnie Mouse say, when we share our memories with others, we make new ones to go right along with them. So they're kind of hammering over the head. These are going to be old memories, old performances we've seen in the past, just packaged differently. We get Pluto, Chip and Dale dancing to hip version of Jingle Bells, I guess, which was cute. And then the Three Caballeros singing Feliz Navidad. We need another Spanish Christmas song, please. Anybody Hispanic who is a songwriter listening to this podcast, please write another hit Christmas song. I am so sick of this one. I'm happy for you to have all the representation you want, but please, can we have another Spanish Christmas song?
Can I ask you a tangential question about this show?
Sure.
When did the Clarabelle cow renaissance begin? Because I know she was in the cartoons in the 30s. I knew who she was. To me, she was always like the answer to a trivia question, And then suddenly now I feel like people are crazy for Clarabelle cow. When did this start?
Well, I think she's begun appearing on Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, so like the young children's Disney Junior show. I believe she makes appearances on that. But honestly, I think when you put any character in a show and let her sing Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, I think you're going to become popular. And I feel like people lost their minds when that happened a few years back.
Okay.
But I don't know the specific answer to your question.
I didn't realize that she had done this song in a previous show because I don't ordinarily watch the Magic Kingdom Christmas special.
So
shows,
all of these songs were done in previous shows. That was kind of the gist of it. It was walk down memory lane.
Best of, yeah.
I love that she comes out in like a disco ball sleigh. That's hilarious. Here's the thing, and I hope this doesn't sound I don't know, insensitive in any way, but
to cows?
No, I love the fact, and I could be totally wrong here, but I would bet money that there is a flamboyant man inside of that costume more so than a woman.
Okay.
And I just love the performance. Like, it is so over the top diva. I mean, literally a disco ball sleigh comes like it is next level something. And people love it, People love it. That tune in general, the Mariah Carey tune, has become so iconic with the holiday. And I would say it's the most modern, and I know it's old at this point. What is it, probably 20 years old? It's the most modern Christmas classic, I think, that we have.
I would say it's at least 25 years old, but we'd have to double check on that.
Well, I'll tell you what, the next hit classic should be a Spanish song so that we have something other than Feliz Navidad. Oh, please. And then, of course, it ends with a holiday sing-along. It was a cute show. It was nothing spectacular in my mind, but it's nice to have a castle show back at the hard ticket events because we did not get a Hocus Pocus villain spectacular at the Halloween party. So this is good.
Did you do Freeform's Halloween Road?
I did not. No, I did not.
Oh, that's where you got the Hocus Pocus performance happening.
Yeah, I saw that little show. It was all right.
Okay.
It was all right. Saw a video of it. But yeah. So yeah, I'm just to hop over to Walt Disney World for a second, just wanted to mention that. They got their own party going on. Of course, they've been doing parties for years, but it's nice to see a stage show back there. And I think that pretty much wraps it up, unless there's anything you want to add about Disneyland's party or perhaps this performance at Magic Kingdom.
No, I'll say that I always enjoy the holiday season at the parks. I love the chill in the air and the general atmosphere and the soapy snow. Just it all gives me a nice warm and fuzzy feeling.
Did you miss fireworks at the Disneyland party? Did you feel like that was missing?
We were surprised that there were no fireworks, but I'm also not really a big fireworks guy, so I wouldn't say that I personally missed it, but I was surprised that it didn't happen.
What is wrong with you? The only reason I'm happy they didn't happen is because I would have been like, I really have no time whatsoever. If there had been a fireworks show as well, Oh my gosh, there would have been no time. So it was great. It was a fun night. It was, my opinion, I wouldn't pay for it, but it seemed like a lot of people were having fun. And first year, hopefully it grows even more in the future, and hopefully the Muppets come back and perform some stuff from from Muppet Christmas Carol.
Boy, I would love to see the Muppets more regularly at Disneyland in any form.
Yeah, I think it'll happen. I think it'll happen. Beyond special events, hopefully. But in any case, I think it's time for some trivia.
Do you know the answer? Get your brain gears churning and play along. It's trivia time.
Alrighty, Mike, do you want to hit me with a trivia question first, or shall I hit you?
I'll go first, because I feel like mine's going to be a real disappointment, because I came up with it not knowing how big of a fan of Mickey's Christmas Carol you were.
That's okay. It's okay.
But here we go. Anyway, in Mickey's Christmas Carol, which character plays the Ghost of Christmas Present?
Oh, it's the giant from Mickey and the Beanstalk.
Correct.
Does he have a name?
It's Willie.
See, you stumped me. I got
I would have given you that.
Okay. Yes, I actually know him more from Mickey's Christmas Carol than I do Mickey and the Beanstalk, and I'm always like, it's perfect casting, right? Like, it's so good. And it's such a good special. Everybody watch Mickey's Christmas Carol. I'm sure it's on Disney Plus. And just to plug it, because why not? Last year for Christmas, I did a whole episode all about Disney's different versions of A Christmas Carol with a friend of mine who has played Scrooge. This is now his 30th year doing it at North Shore Music Theater, and then he did it before that. So it's a great episode of the podcast. If you haven't listened, I highly suggest you go back and check it. And what the heck, I'll include a link to that in the show notes as well, so click on that link.
I want to tell you another quick tangential thing.
Please.
I was browsing Twitter one day, and I saw a casting call go out for Knott's Berry Farm's Christmas Carol play in the old-timey, the old-timey theater part, the Birdcage Theater, yes. And I was so tempted because I, too, love A Christmas Carol. And I was like, I've always wanted to play any part. Any part in that play would be... And their versions are very, like, boiled down, like, I think it's like 25 minutes or something very quick like that. But that would be really fun. And the commute would be terrible, and I also have a job, so...
I am getting ready to go to London for the first time in December, and my plan is to go to the Dickens Museum during the day and then see some production of A Christmas Carol in London at night. And that idea just excites me so much. I try and see a different production of A Christmas Carol every single year. I think it's one of the greatest stories of all time. I just love it. But in any case, let me ask you a question. As I mentioned, the first song that we hear in Mickey and Minnie's Very Merry Memories stage show is We Need a Little Christmas, which was written for the musical Mame. But I didn't first hear that song on the musical Mame. I actually first heard that song in a Muppets holiday special. Do you know the name of that special and what year it was released?
We need a little Christmas. Oh, we're going to get a copyright strike if I sing it. Let's see. I'm going to take a stab at it. I don't know for sure, but I'll say Muppet Family Christmas.
It was
1986.
Oh, so close. A Muppet Family Christmas, 1987.
Oh, 1 year.
Yeah, and it's one of my absolute honestly, though, I thought it was like a Muppet song for a long time. We need a little Christmas right this very minute. I was like, that's a Muppet song. And then when actually back at North Shore Music Theater, where I was just talking about Scrooge, my friend Scrooge there, they were doing a production of Mame. And all of a sudden, this song starts being performed, and I'm like, that's the Muppet song. So that happens to me a lot. But in any case, yes, it's such a good special, folks. If you've never seen a Muppet Family Christmas, I highly suggest it. I will warn you, there are many versions of it because you joked about copyright strike, but they ran into music rights issues when they started doing home video and DVD and stuff. So most of the stuff you can buy is an abridged version, which is still super enjoyable. But if you want the whole thing, it is on YouTube. I will include a link to that in the show notes as well, just because everybody should watch it. If you're a Muppets fan or a Christmas special fan, it's phenomenal. You got the Muppets and the Sesame Street gang and the Fraggle Rock gang and even puppet forms of the Muppet Babies. So it's fantastic.
I totally agree. I try to watch it every year. I love it so much. And just, it's one of those Avengers things where all the characters meet each other.
Dude, we totally need the Muppet Cinematic Universe. When the heck is that going to happen? Oh my God.
Well, hopefully Muppets Haunted Mansion was enough of a success that it will.
Yes, more of that. Anyway, Mike, thanks so much for coming on the show. This was a lot of fun. Anything you want to plug before we get going here? Sure.
I host a often weekly, sometimes not weekly, Star Wars podcast called Who's the Bosk? BOSSK. You can just find that wherever you get your podcasts. Most of those places have it. And also you can visit laughingplace.com, where I frequently contribute reviews of Star Wars novels, Star Wars comics, Star Wars TV shows, and then sometimes I'll cover The Simpsons, frequently also going to Disneyland and Disney California Adventure and all the Southern California theme parks, Knott's Berry Farm, Universal Studios, Hollywood. And that's pretty much what I do with my work day at Laughing Place. But otherwise, that's where you can find me.
Excellent. Well, Mike, thanks so much. This was a lot of fun. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays.
Happy Holidays. The last thing I want to say about A Christmas Carol, going back to that, every time anyone has ever asked me, what day is this? Just in casual conversation.
Why is
Christmas Day, sir?
I'm going to ask you that from now on. What day is this? I love it. Awesome. Well, thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
I hope you all enjoyed today's conversation. On the last couple of episodes, we talked about magic bands coming to Disneyland Resort, plus I chatted with a producer from the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade about Disney's involvement with them through the years. Next week is the final House of Mouse headlines of the season, including a special interview, followed by the DCTC Season 8 finale the following week. The easiest way to make sure you don't miss any of the magic is by subscribing to Disney Coast to Coast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Wherever you search, don't forget it's Disney with a Z, Coast to Coast. If you didn't listen to me at the top of this episode, now's the time to head to DisneyCoastToCoast.com to order your DCTC 2022 calendars. You can find any links and info mentioned in this episode by checking out the show notes link in this episode's description. This episode has been executive produced by Robert Scontrino. Gain rewards like Robert by visiting patreon.com/Disney, with a Z, CTC. And don't forget to leave a voicemail at 818-860-2569 to share your thoughts on today's conversation and the chance to be heard on a future episode. You can find that number in this episode's description, along with a link for some free gifts from me to you. Other than that, folks, have a magical day. Bye!
Thanks for listening to Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.
Disney Coast to Coast is produced and hosted by Jeff DePauli. Learn more about the podcast and become a supporter at DisneyCoastToCoast.com. This podcast is part of the Podcast Network. Learn more about this show, plus find more quality and entertaining podcasts at depodcastnetwork.com. That's DEPodcastnetwork.com.